Good evening and welcome to the Independence Missouri School District Board of Education monthly board meeting. I want to welcome you. My name is Anthony J. Mondane Sr. and I am proud to preside this meeting this evening. Thank you all for attending and bearing with us in the cold. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. I would like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Thank you so much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If there are nays, please speak now. And it passes. All right. We have no requests from district citizens to speak this evening, so we will move on to our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
All in favor? I do apologize. It has been motioned and seconded. This is now an opportunity for discussion, and I will hand it over to our interim superintendent, Cindy Grant.
Thank you. We have bills totaling $12,052,403.02 as printed. This is up just a bit since last year due to we have new security cameras that have been added to buildings where requested. We've upgraded technology to monitor, control heating and cooling systems within the district, furniture purchases, payment for the Sycamore sewer line placement and repair, final payment for the Fairmont construction manager, and for the summer projects, and then finishing up final payments for the Cordy and Nowlin windows that happened over the summer. We will also let bids for several items. First, for substitute services. Substitute fill rates are monitored on a daily basis, and when the district is unable to fill sub requests, that burden ends up falling on other staff members. This is a topic that has been discussed since April of 2024 and beyond, up to date. And so we are in hopes, bringing this request to accept bids for sub-services in hopes to increase fill rates that we monitor on a continual basis. And then we have approval to let bids. The following items will be contingent upon a bond passing, and you'll hear more about that later, that request. Let bids for a replacement elevator at Bridger Middle School. We have let bids for renovation of the counseling suite at Chrisman High School. This is a full remodel of the counseling suite and will allow for more office space and removal of temporary walls, and for more permanent walls in that space. We will let bids for renovations for classrooms at Truman High School. This is a full remodel of the rooms 130, 132, and 134, reconfiguring the setup and removing temporary walls to make classrooms larger with permanent walls. And the classes in those rooms, German, special education, and freshman academy. Those are what's in those rooms there. And then we also have approval to let bids for the renovation of the family school liaison suite at Randall Elementary School. This is a full renovation of the suite, and Director Puente, you had asked if there would be an additional restroom added, and there will be. So they will have not one staff restroom in that building, but they will have an additional one. So that is something that I know that Mrs. Jones will be very happy with. Then I let bids for renovations for the second floor at Independence Academy. This will be a renovation of a portion of the second floor at IA to add more classroom and office space. So those last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are contingent upon bond passing. So that is what we have for the consent agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. I just had a quick question. We had talked last week about number 3, the let bids for substitute services, and that you were going to include quarterly numbers to the board in our weekly update.
Yes.
Did you by chance, were you able to pull anything more recent? Do we have those numbers?
Yes.
Of what
So our fill rates for 25-26 thus far. So for early education staff, it's right about 54% fill rate. Para educators, 56%. Teachers right now, 87% fill rate. However, that does include when building principals, each building has priority subs that are already hired. that does include those numbers there. So I feel like that's a little bit inflated for that, but it'll continue throughout there and we'll continue to monitor it. And then I believe Director Parente, you had asked about what are the highest absence days?
Yeah.
So Thursdays and Fridays. So those are the highest absence. And that has shown that way over time.
Have we been seeing issues on the Mondays where we do have school? Are there high absent rates on those days?
We actually had that this week, and I would say there are some, but I would say no more than what we potentially see on a Friday.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we get those numbers as well.
All right, that concludes our discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, say nay. That motion passes. Thank you. Our next item is the superintendent's report, miscellaneous. I will hand it over to interim superintendent Cindy Grant.
Thank you. So first of all, huge congratulations to our Van Horn men's soccer team. Van Horn has officially won their first ever Misha Team State Championship, capturing the 2025 boys soccer title. It was an absolute phenomenal weekend. It was so much fun to be there and to see the excitement on that Friday and Saturday. We will celebrate tomorrow, December 10th at the Uptown Market. We will host a reception banquet, and Mayor Rowland will be there to present a proclamation. Several board members will be able to be there, as well as several city council members. So it's going to be very, very exciting. And I do want to say it was a huge compliment to Van Horn, the soccer team, the crowd that was there. Several superintendents that were there watching their teams. I received text messages from them saying what class our team showed, our audience showed, just cheering one another on, and they were so excited. We even had one of the teams that took, I believe, third place in Class 3A came over to watch our game and were cheering for our kids. It was just great to see. So it was a lot of fun. Extremely proud of them and happy for them and for Coach as well as Mr. Corey. I think he finally cracked a smile at the end of that game. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. We were notified by Mid-America Regional Council, or MARC, of our federal review for Head Start and Early Head Start that is taking place this week. Director Nguyen shared with me that all of the information has been sent in and they have what they need, and if they need anything else, they will ask questions and I will update you all accordingly. So he does a phenomenal job with that. In relation to policy E300P, teacher union representation, this policy explains how teachers in the independent school district can choose or change the unions that represent them in collective bargaining through a fair and democratic secret ballot process. You may recall that this approach was collaboratively agreed to during negotiations last spring. So it falls upon the superintendent to make sure that we have a clear and consistent procedure that can be applied fairly across the board. And so I believe Director Baird as well as Director Parente had requested and asked if I had had a chance to talk to each of the associations to get their feedback, and I did meet with them yesterday, share the information with them, and take notes of questions that they had or thoughts that they had there. So I wanted to share that with you.
So there might still be some adjustments to
Correct.
this procedure, and okay, because one of the
I will say nothing substantial, kind of pulling things apart to make it clearer so it's not so ambiguous.
okay, can we also see the final version
Yes.
just as an informational thing?
Yes, I'll send that in my weekly update too.
One question, just because I wanted to ask, because one of the things in the collective bargaining agreement was the superintendent and one representative, so I'm glad that that happened, from each organization on the ballot shall meet to discuss, develop, and agree to ground rules and procedures for conducting the election. So that will be part of that process. Wonderful, thank you.
Sounds good. And then we have had 2 elected officials visit the district in recent weeks. You may or may not have seen the news with Mayor Lucas from Kansas City, and he visited the school district on November 19th. He toured the Academy Capstone classes, heard directly from our students and about the great things happening in the ISD. We do have just over 400 kiddos with KCMO addresses and so that attend our schools, and so he does have a vested interest in what takes place within our schools. And so it was a wonderful visit. He enjoyed his time thoroughly, and every capstone that he left with something. The kids graced him with gifts, and they were very excited to get to spend time with him and to talk to him. So that was great. And then Representative Mike Steinmeier, a William Chrisman graduate, visited the district on Wednesday of last week. He toured Chrisman and Van Horn. The focus of the tour was the academies and how they help prepare students for future success. He was also very impressed with our Advanced Woodworks Pathways or Project Home. Several of us have heard Mr. Oatman's class, and he was so impressed with them, he's invited them to Jeff City and to work on a special project with him, so that's really exciting. And, you know, it was an honor to host each of these officials, and we appreciate what they do for our community, so it's great. That's all I have.
I'd just like to say thank you, Dr. Grant, and whoever coordinated having guests come in from different levels of government to visit what we do in ISD. And I particularly want to press down and exclaim how important it is to demonstrate a positive outlook on things. And I think you did a fabulous job by saying, come see what we do, right? And I really appreciated how you handled that. And thank you and kudos to your team. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. We're not voting, are we?
No.
Well, let's move on, guys. New business, people, new business, okay? All righty. All right, and I will hand it back to Dr. Grant.
So first up under new business, we have an APR presentation. I'd like to invite Dr. Pam Boatwright up to the podium to share her presentation. APR was released in early November, and we shared our overall score, but Dr. Boatwright is going to give us a deeper dive in what is going well, what's included in APR, and where do we need to grow. And I will say it is important to note that this same process that we're going through here tonight, we've asked our buildings to do with their staff as well and identify their strengths, weaknesses, moving forward, and those things are incorporated into their scorecard that they then present throughout the year and update to us at central office to continually monitor for APR purposes. So we appreciate that, and now I'll turn it over to Dr. Boatwright.
All right, well, thank you, and good evening. So, and Merry Christmas if I don't get to say that before we leave tonight. But I do want to say that this particular presentation, amongst others, does align to our CSIP goals. I think it's 1.1 and 1.3. So part of MSIP is one of the requirements is that we are providing information on the process and progress of all aspects of what we do. And so this will help to make sure that we are in line with that. And I'm not working. There we go. Okay. So DESE highlighted a few things that they saw trends as far as over the state. APR, which was released in early November, they saw that 92% of our Missouri public school students were attending schools that met or exceeded state expectations. There were over 310 public schools that improved their APR score for the 2025 school year. Some key performance indicators such as attendance, graduation rate, and our MAP scores of the state continue to move in a positive direction. And they also said that ELA MAP scores showed some slight gains across most grade levels, while math scores also improved overall, with the exception of grades 4 and 5, and that was a state reflection. Okay. Here in the ISD, these results demonstrate just how far we've come over the past 4 years under our MSIP 6 model. It's important to note that the total number of points possible varies in the different implementation of MSIP 6, so you will see that in 2022 all the way to 2025, since the districts were in different rotation cycles for their implementation years. Even with those shifts, we've seen a steady upward trajectory in our APR, growing every single year from 70.1 in 2022 to 80.5 this past year. That is a significant achievement, and this consistent year-over-year progress in our overall APR is truly remarkable and something that I believe that every staff member, student, and family should be celebrating. Before we take a little bit deeper dive, it's helpful to understand two terms that you may see throughout the presentation. through with our MSIP, and that is our status and our growth when we're talking about academics. So probably just a real simple analogy is imagine that you're running a marathon, and that status, the status piece would be like running 1 mile on a single day in June and then recording that time. So how you did in one point in time would be our status, similar. So growth would be timing your mile in January and then running again in December, and then the improvement in your time shows how far you've come. So it's looking at growth over time. So both of these are very important and tell a story about each of those measures, and both matter when we're looking at our APR results. So this slide shows our status and helps to understand our current ability and our readiness in those different levels. This particular slide shows our growth, and you're going to notice that there are several areas where the ISD hit the target this year. So we had 4 areas, that's ELA, science, and social studies, where we actually went from on track to target, which I think is a great accomplishment for our staff and what they're doing in our students. So this one's might be a little challenging to read, so I'm going to try to break it down as best I can. So we're going to take a look at the very top part first. And here there are 2 categories. So we're looking at the success ready and continuous improvement. So success ready under the performance band is going to measure the accuracy of students' performance on any given assessment or class that they take. So for example, you're going to see CCR, which stands for College and Career Readiness. Again, these assessments are things like ACT, SAT, WorkKeys, ASVAB. You'll also see the advanced credits, which are going to include AP, dual credit, IRCs, and PLTW. So those measure accuracy of the assessment. You'll see success ready down in continuous improvement, which is a little bit different measure. So there are points that our students earn for MSIP 6 based on their performance in those areas. So under continuous improvement, we have 5 areas that were measured. Our improvement plan, which is our comprehensive school improvement plan. So ours is on a 5-year rotation. So you can see that we've achieved the 30 out of 30 on that particular standard. The district response to standards are the narratives that the district submits to DESE based upon specific prompts that DESE provides for us to respond to our CSIP. So we have the academic achievement side, but the neat thing about this is we get to tell our story about what's happening in our district that you can't necessarily capture in a test score. And there's a lot of great things that are happening there. The climate culture survey is required to be given every 2 years, but the ISD opts to give this survey every year. It is governed by MU, and the results are provided back to us once they are collected and disseminated. Then we disseminate that data to our buildings. This usually takes place in early November, and the results are usually returned in mid-December. Success ready under the continuous improvement. So now I'm moving down to that second green and blue box. This is the improvement band, and these measures include assessments given to our youngest learners entering kindergarten, reflecting the strong work happening in our ISD and our early education. The continuous improvement also covers systems that keep our district operating effectively. Things like accurate documentation, timely submission of our required state data, and ISD continues to score very well in those areas as well. It also includes our ICAP, which stands for the Individual Career and Academic Plan. That's just something that all 8th graders complete, as well as this category includes attendance. Attendance is calculated on a student attending 90% of the time. And so DESE has a calculation. They determine that attendance for students that plays into our APR score. And then the CTE expansion piece provides additional points for districts that partner with area career centers, comprehensive high schools, or industries to create pathways for students to enroll in high school-based CTE programs. And then the 5th component of that particular continuous improvement piece is our MSIP 6 required documentation. So those would be things like the audit, our annual Secretary of the Board report, and our timely submission of all of our MOSIS and core data files. You'll see the overall APR comparison, and again, lots of numbers here. comparison to all of the earlier years. This slide adds a little bit more detail just to show you how the individual indicators have increased or remained strong over the past 4 years. This slide shows our MPI, or our MAP Performance Index. MPI measures how students move across achievement levels. So you've heard of below basic, proficient, and advanced. So those are the achievement levels that we are talking about. You'll see a slight dip this year in our social studies MPI, but you will see that we've remained on status in our growth when you take those into account. We are on track in social studies, which is a good place to be. This particular slide, this has about 19 districts, and so it just is a comparison of ISD among other LEAs or local education agencies, and it just shows how the ISD's APR compares to other metro area or St. Louis area districts of similar size or proximity. And that has a 4-year comparison on it. So as we reflect on the APR, I think it's really important that you know kind of some of the next steps and things that we're looking at, both from our strengths and those areas that we know we need to continue to focus on. So overall, we're incredibly proud of our consistent high marks and improvement in our academic growth. This slide will highlight the steps that we've taken to build these strengths, as well as the areas that we're continuing to focus on. We remain committed to thoughtful, strategic growth so that every student has access to high-quality education that they deserve. In an effort to involve, as Dr. Grant mentioned, to keep our buildings involved, they have and some are still reviewing their APR, they're setting building goals, and they are updating their school improvement plans based upon their own data and feedback. And it can't go without saying that I think our staff and our students have worked really, really hard, and want to congratulate them because it takes all of them working together. And I don't want to leave out our parents who are supporting our kids at home through this process as well. Thank you.
I will say just a couple of things. Kudos to you, Dr. Boatwright, and you leading the charge with all of this and what we do each and every year. We are on cycle for MSIP, I will say MSIP 6 2.0. Our submission date is this December, and so Dr. Boatwright is working through that. And so that will be finalized and submitted. And then we did just receive our culture and climate survey data back today, so we're going through all of that information. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So.
I had a question. On the slide that was for success ready and continuous improvement, you talked about how the attendance is one of the things we're working on. We got 0 out of 4 on that. Does that mean that we had no students that were over 92%?
It is, and it's a complicated formula, Denise, and I'm not sure I will do it quite the justice, but yes, there's a point value that is assigned to students as in different category or bands. You know what?
That we had no students hit that criteria.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that at all. And so the number of points we did not hit to achieve the marks.
That's good.
Yeah, and that again continues to be one of our focal areas to ensure, because remember it's 90% of your students attending 90% of the time. So it continues to be a challenge, and I know buildings are working really hard. It is a highlight of their SIP to partner with families to ensure that they feel welcomed, and that it is a partnership within the buildings to support needs and things that they may need on the way.
I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
did notice that was one of the areas of growth,
Mhm.
that one and math were both there. So appreciate, being willing to say where are places where we can, improve, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we're doing the same thing with math. taking a deep dive into that to ensure that we are providing the professional development, looking at things such as, is it a resource issue, a curriculum issue? Is there specific skill sets that we need to teach and provide to our staff to ensure that they understand the conceptual understanding and foundation of what we need in the math? And so we're looking at that. In fact, we had a day last week where we pulled our instructional team together and we looked at that from kindergarten all the way up to 10th grade.
Dr.
Do you,
Brown?
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So my question for the attendants, I know that whenever I go and have to take kiddos to a doctor appointment and have to bring them in late or whatever, there's a reason that we have to put on that document. Is that reason recorded, and does it hold weight to DESE's metrics at all? Does that matter, I guess?
So yes, we record why they're gone. So internally, we have an excuse or an unexcused, but DESE sees it as you're either present or you're not. So it just kind of helps us to know that what was going on. Parents are aware
Okay.
more than anything.
So in our internal process, when we're reviewing these reasons, or if you write in a reason or not, maybe people aren't writing reasons, but do we see like this overarching reason as to what's happening? Is it something that we can help adjust our families with, or is it just something?
You mean
that's-
on like,
So if we're
the-
seeing that, many kids are coming in because they're sick, many kids are coming in late because of the snow day, or whatever, is there this is the main cause of people not being at school?
I think I'd have to go back to buildings for that to see what exactly they're seeing. But I think it varies from day to day. We really encourage families that just because you got up late, still come in. That matters. The minute matters. And so we want you there even if you're going to be late. Don't just say, well, I woke up late and let's stay home and try again tomorrow. We want you there even if it's 45 minutes late or 2 hours late. So we want to ensure that they get there because those minutes matter.
So, and what really makes me think of this is like if we've got mom going to work and kid is responsible to get to the bus stop at a certain time, and kid's late getting to the bus stop, and that's what's causing that issue, and he can't walk, they can't walk, whatever. Maybe if that's the issue, there could maybe be some kind of mitigation that we can brainstorm about maybe to help in that space.
I would say that our family school liaisons are very involved in our schools, and so they make those connections and phone calls, and sometimes we might have to do a home visit just to say, what can we do to help with the situation? But I do know that they, along with counselors, are very much involved in that process with attendance. So, yeah.
And to the recording of attendance, it does matter at the high school level to document medical reasons, because then if they get to a point where they're debating whether they have credit for a class, then they can at least say, I have this many medical excuses. So it is important to have a doctor's note sometimes to differentiate. But my question, off the top of your head, do you know what our percentage was for attendance at 90%? Do we have?
Hey, Dr. Macklinger, do you happen to know or remember? I don't off the top of my head, so.
I think that'd be a great thing to know, is there a way we can get that information like in your weekly update?
Absolutely. And I know that's one thing that we used to break down is how many are at 89, because those ones you could try to really push over that to the 90. So it's just kind of interesting to look at how many we have at 89% or how many we have at 85.
I will say that this same presentation will be sent out to families tomorrow so that they have the same information regarding APR and our success.
Thank you, Dr. Boatwright.
Alrighty, thank you again, Dr. Boatwright. Our second item is the approval of changes to the program of studies for the 2026-2027 school year. Dr. Grant?
All right, I will welcome Oh, yes. Yes.
I move to approve the program of studies for 26-27 school year.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded. This is now our opportunity to discuss the item. Thank you.
Yes, all right, I will invite Dr. Maglinger, and I believe you have a few other individuals that are going to come up and help you present approval of changes to the program of studies for the 26-27 school year. I am really excited about some of the things that you're going to see because, as I've shared with you, I've done some superintendent roundtables with students and staff, and so some of the changes and proposals that you're going to see have come from that. So it's pretty exciting to see some of those things coming to fruition. So, without further ado, Dr. Maglinger.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. Thank you for this opportunity to share this information tonight. I do have a team of individuals behind me here. We'll start with the students. We have Brandon Kaufman. We also have Jacob Gregg. And we also have Levi Smith. They will be presenting some information as we go through the slides here. All three students are highly involved at their respective schools, and they lended their voice to this process, and we greatly appreciate suggestions that they've made because suggestions they've made have made it to the program of studies here. We also have Dr. Tammy May. She is the MCC Vice President of Instruction and Student Services. We also have Dr. Zach Harmon McLaughlin. He is the Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs at Graceland University, and they have provided their expertise. And throughout this process, their respective institutions have helped us collaborate to develop some really good programs for kids. So we're excited about what you'll see with that. We also have Lori Cadwell. She is the Avid District Director and Academy Coordinator, and Aaron Smith, the CTE Coordinator. And so this is just a representative body of all the stakeholders that are involved in this process. And to start us off, much like Dr. Boatwright's presentation, we always like to highlight the CSIP goals that are going to be represented throughout the presentation here. So these are the goals and the strategies and the action steps that we have pulled from the CSIP that will be throughout this presentation. So as far as the process for course changes, we hear from all our stakeholders each year, and so we hear from students, teachers, departments, ISD partners, and then the district collaborate and propose potential course change requests. Teachers and departments, they submit their requests by November 5th. That gives us an opportunity to review, to develop the program of studies, and then also the course changes that are going to be on the academy charts here. These changes are submitted to the principals for review as well. Once it comes to a review committee, you can see the individuals that are involved in that process. A lot are represented in this room tonight. And then the requests are considered based on staffing, college career readiness, and the need and the fit for the pathways and the academy model that we have. And then the requests are presented to the Board of Education for approval. So new courses, we have several that came across, and so English Language Development, or ELD, we have Math A and B. This would be year-long classes. The purpose for these classes would be to further develop any missing Algebra 1 concepts for our ELL students. We also had ELD Essential Literacy. This course is an ELA course where ELL students can strengthen foundational literacy skills and earn an additional ELA credit. Social studies, in years past, I've come to you with some special topics classes. Well, this year is no different. We had two that were proposed, Native American History and Cultural Human Geography. With the Native American History, the Social Studies Department did a survey of students. The students were interested in learning more about Native American history, current Missouri curriculum limits, the experience to the Trail of Tears and colonial period, which contributes to the idea that Native Americans are a thing of the past. This course seeks to focus on how Native Americans are part of all of the United States history, not just a small segment. And then we also have cultural human geography. Once again, Social Studies Department did a survey this fall of students interested in elective courses in world and U.S. history. There was overwhelming support for bringing back a cultural geography course. The students have expressed a desire for deeper cultural understanding within the geographic component of world history. The next class is Fibers. Fibers will be an art class. It will explore the artistic potential of textiles and fiber-based materials through both traditional and contemporary practices. Students will experiment with techniques such as weaving, embroidery, felting, fabric dyeing, surface design, and mixed media textile sculpture. Agriculture 1 and 2, that's why Brandon Kaufman is here. He helped suggest this, and so he will present that here in just a little bit. But we'd like to offer agriculture a pathway to meet a growing student interest that we have received. Video game design. The proposed computer game design course would broaden the computer networking and systems pathway by offering students a creative project-based opportunity to apply their computer science knowledge in a different context. Graceland Nursing, information is going to be presented here shortly. And then MCC Early College Academy, same, we have some slides here in a bit for more information. And then Freshman Academy at the 8th grade level. We currently have Freshman Academy as freshmen, but with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Cadwell and Jacob Gregg and Levi Smith.
Good evening. As Dr. Maglinger mentioned before, that some of our ideas came directly from students. And so this idea of offering the Freshman Academy Career Expo class at the 8th grade level in addition to 9th grade level came from the leadership class at William Chrisman High School. So I have two students here with me this evening, Jacob Gregg and Levi Smith, both seniors at William Chrisman, to explain why they think this would be a good move.
Hi everyone, I'm Levi. I think there's two main benefits to moving into 8th grade, and the first is availability. If we put it in 8th grade, then we give people more time, not only to graduate on track and make sure they're getting all their credits, but to make sure that they're actually taking the classes that are available to them in their pathways. Because a lot of times I speak to students, both as a student myself and an ambassador, and I find the number one issue is that people just don't have time in their schedules, and so they ultimately don't reach their capstones, and they spend 3 years taking awesome classes, but they don't get the reward at the end, and so they don't really get to see all the resources this district has to provide under the academy model. But beyond that, it also helps students actually understand what they're getting themselves into, because when they take it in their 8th grade year, they can plan ahead and take the classes they need to their freshman year. That means for all of the pathways with capstones, where you have to take stuff from your freshman year to your senior year, they can make sure that they're in those classes their freshman year. I know personally, me and other students like Jacob have to take the class in our second semester of our freshman year, and when we ask questions about specific capstones, a lot of times people defer us to our freshman academy class when we hadn't even had a chance to be in it, and ultimately we would only have those questions answered after we already registered for classes our sophomore year. So if we move this class up to 8th grade, not only would it give us more space to take classes that we want to, but we could plan ahead and understand what classes are even available instead of being deferred.
Alright, hi, I'm Jacob, and I think that I'm a really good example of kind of what Levi was describing with students who have to take this class their second semester of freshman year. So I came into high school with the idea that I was going to be an engineer and I was going to love it, and then I realized about my sophomore year that I wasn't creative and I wasn't good at math, and I decided that engineering wasn't for me, so I switched to the Public Service Academy under the legal pathway. And if I had the opportunity to take more classes under the Public Service academy during my 8th grade year, and I had more opportunity during my freshman year in order to actually explore that academy more, then I could be in things like our legal communications capstone, which I simply just don't have time for in my schedule right now because I waited until my sophomore year to switch, and I now don't have time my senior year. I think that something the academy model is really, really good for, and I see that a lot as an ambassador, is students who switch between the academies, and we do a really good job of offering flexibility to those students already, and I think that this is a really great step forward in continuing to allow that flexibility by giving them the opportunities to explore these career paths further and get a deeper knowledge of them starting directly in 8th grade. That way they have that much more flexibility, like Levi described, when they actually come into high school.
So we're proposing adding a section to 8th grade, but we're still going to have it offered at 9th grade as well. But if students are ready for it and they would like to take the class their 8th grade year, then that is an option for them, and then they can get started right away in the academies. I wanted to share with you some of the classes that Dr. Maglinger mentioned and where they would appear on our academy charts. So on the slides, I have this year's academy chart, and then I'm going to show you the proposed changes for next year. So first up, we have our Arts and Education Academy. This is our current chart. And then highlighted in red, we put red around the border, is where we're proposing adding the fibers class that Dr. Maglinger mentioned. So that would be a semester elective class between 10th and 11th grades. For the Business Academy chart, this is our current one. And for this one, we had just a few clerical changes. We noticed in our charts that some of our charts used the and symbol and some spelled out the word and we wanted it all to be consistent. So the boxes at the very top for our pathways, that's just changing it to the word and. One of the significant changes on this chart, the Python class that's under data analytics is now being offered for dual credit for next school year. So we would put that one in bold to show dual credit. And then the other boxes were due to the and. For our industrial technology chart, this is our current one. And then our change for next year is again the clerical change at the top for the pathway title, and then for the under the drafting and engineering, the industrial welding classes are offered for dual credit, and so those would have the bold outline around them. For public service, for that chart, this is our current one, and the proposal is to add a special topics class, the cultural human geography course, and that would be added as an elective under our international studies pathway. We also had another change under public safety. EMT is no longer being offered at Herndon. And so we removed that from the charts for next school year. And then I'm going to call Aaron Smith up and Brandon to share about the changes for the STEM Academy.
The course, is that a semester course of?
Yes.
Okay.
Semester.
Good evening. Thank you again for allowing us the opportunity to present before the board tonight. You've already heard that this fine young man standing here beside me was the one who came up with an idea, and it really highlights this concept that we try to cast the net wide to gather any good idea that we can from any source in the district and or out of the district. And so we are moving to add an ag program next year, and I'm going to let Brandon speak to the why.
As he said, my name is Brandon Kaufman. I'm a senior at Truman High School, and as a personal anecdote for the agricultural program, I'm here with my dad, and we come from a his side of farming, and we have a farm up north in DeKalb County for the last 150-ish years. In that county, right now my grandfather is the one who owns the farm. He is 85 years old. He is no longer able to farm the several hundred acres that we own up there, and it's requiring my father to go up there every so often to keep it at least satisfied for the condition of the land. The proposal of an agricultural program helps kids like me, who are the generation below, to jump above and try and lower the age of farmers. In DeKalb County, the average age of farmers is 62 years old. That puts 550 of them above 65 years old, 500 between 65 and 35 years old, and only 76 farmers below the age of 35. So you can see there's a large gap in the farmers coming up in the next couple of years that we're going to see the age rising and rising if something doesn't happen soon. Which an agricultural program at the high school level would help gather interest for people who don't have that opportunity to see that. And I'm not the only person at my high school who has that. I am among tens of maybe even 100 who are part of and related to a generational farm that doesn't have any direct descendant who is trying to take it over and ready to take it over. Beside that, I think it's very important for people who live in suburban and urban areas to understand what urban sprawl and zoning laws affect farming and what can be farmed, can't be farmed, because they do vote for the people who decide those things. It's also just important for them to know where their food comes from as far as cattle and know that they can have a source of that close to home. And the last thing on top of that is the opportunity that an agricultural program adds to our district of having an FFA, a Future Farmers of America Academy. That program has picked up so much excitement over the last couple months that we have already started discussions with our admin about having a program, and it's actually already gotten approved at the admin level, but we can't have that until we have an agricultural program, because one of the requirements to be in the FFA is to be enrolled in an agricultural class. So I'm excited to see what you guys can do for the next year and what it might turn into. Thank you.
I think I'd rather just let him speak to the rest of this. That was fantastic, Brandon. I appreciate not only your passion, but the manner in which you shared. Honestly, I was shocked when we pulled numbers from, we use Missouri Connections a lot at different levels to gauge career interest, and I want to say our numbers were well over what he said, probably close to 200 students at Truman High School who had an interest in a career that related to or was directly involved with the Ag Academy, and that was just at Truman High School. So the interest is definitely there. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to then say, okay, what do we need to do to bring this on and to make it happen? So, so not only do we have the Ag 1 and 2, well, obviously we'll roll this out year over year, but Ag 1 will be taught next year across the board. So one of the other courses that is here in the STEM Academy that you see highlighted is it's the class in the computer science pathway, the video gaming class, and that was actually the brainchild of one of our teachers. He had taught this at a different district before and brought that passion here, and so we're going to try to pilot that in one of the schools and see how it goes and then broaden that. I'm sure it will be a smashing success. And then, let's see, one of the last things that we have that we'd like to discuss is this opportunity we have. Well, actually, before I go to the last thing, our Ag program is now kind of in conjunction with our vet program. So this has opened the door then to send our students also, if they want to continue that vet pathway, to a program at Herndon Career Center that is actually operated out of the Kansas City Zoo. So that you'll see that program down as a senior level program in the Ag now, the vet Ag pathway. So, and last, we want to talk about our nursing option. We have a current nursing option, actually two. We can send to Summit Tech. They have a program where if you're going to plan on going to UCM for nursing, that's really kind of a fast track to do that. Herndon offers a CNA program. And so Graceland approached us, and we have collaborated to create our own that's, I think, the best of both worlds. And so I'm going to bring up Zach McLaughlin, Dr. Zach McLaughlin, Harmon McLaughlin, excuse me. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about this as we go through it, but really, it's kind of the overview is that the whole idea here is that we're going to take 3 periods of the day. Normally, to send a student to Summit Tech or Herndon, it's 4 periods because of busing. It adds an extra 20 to 30 minutes down there and back. So we can do that in 3 periods. We're going to offer a dual credit class, medical term, as part of this program. So they're also going to get college credit if they choose it. Of course, the CNA will be offered at the end of their year. And then we will be the ones who have the employee working for the ISD, but the program is actually going to be housed right next door at Graceland University in a unused nursing lab that's sit empty for way too long. And so we're very excited about that opportunity. The nice thing here is, again, it's going to basically combine the option for a student. If they want to go to college, great, they can choose the dual credit. If they want the IRC, they've got the option as in one program versus you're picking a program, whether it's at Summit Tech or Herndon, to only get one of those options. We also think that because we're offering it in 3 credits versus 4, covering the same content in a shorter amount of time, that we're going to have more students choose to stay home, basically. We think that overall, it's going to add a block back into a student's schedule. You already heard from one of the other students about how difficult trying to find time in their schedule to fit classes in. This is going to add back a class that they can take in upper level math or science or another type of biomed class that they want to. The 2 hours of dual credit, it's medical terminology, so it's kind of an intro level med class that'll transfer to almost any university. And then our numbers have been really strong in this pathway for years, and because we're only able to send to Herndon and Summit Tech, we have a limited number of slots available to our students. So, for example, last year I think we had over 40 students apply, and we have 8 or 9 that get into one of those 2 programs. So by having our own, we'll be able to service 30 students in that arena, as well as potentially you could still send to Herndon and Summit Tech if they really wanted to go and make that happen. But I'm going to bring in Dr. McLaughlin, and he can speak to this.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize Graceland's missional alignment with this. We did approach ISD. We're in a renaissance of innovation at Graceland in terms of community partnerships. We've been absent for far too long as a neighbor, and we are revisiting that with a lot of community organizations. So this actually originated out of an adult CNA program we're working with Community Services League on. So our Dean of Nursing reached out. It's a wonderful opportunity. We hear consistently from all of our hospital partners around the metro the need for CNAs. Instant jobs, ready to go for anyone, and we get it constantly. So we are developing several new pathways for nursing and allied health in general, trying to tear away barriers to make college more accessible for everyone. And we're working on additional partnerships that will remove some of the bureaucracy from associate's degree to a 4-year degree. So we're doing our best to make it more accessible, recognizing that we're in a community that has left some folks out, and we want to bring them back to the center and bring them back to the table. So we're really excited about this, and this is just a moment of privilege. Please forgive me. I am not promoting Graceland here. I just want to affirm this young man in the agriculture class. Graceland has an agricultural business degree. I'm not promoting it. I just want to add to the data is clear. We are getting consistent investment in that program, and Chronicle of Higher Ed has some great data on it. Hanover Research has some great data. So personal privilege, you don't have to go to Graceland. It's totally fine. Just some data on the agriculture. That's really important.
One other point that I do want to bring up that is not on this slide, and that is one of the wonderful carrots, so to speak, that Graceland is offering our students, is that if they participate in this program with them, they can then apply to their nursing school as a senior in high school, and as long as then they continue their grades and attendance basically over the next 2 years, and whether that's at Graceland or MCC or wherever they choose to go, they will be automatically admitted into the nursing program that 3rd year at Graceland. So they do not have to compete against outside individuals who are applying that year. So that is a big win for our kiddos with a tuition discount. Thank you for bringing that one back up. I forgot about that too. So.
Oh, I had one quick question. I know one of the challenges,
Sorry.
One of the challenges with Herndon and elsewhere is that they operate on a 5-day week because they're not in the ISD. With this being our program, would those students be on the 4-day week with us?
4-day week, yeah, which actually allows them to do their clinicals on the 5th day as opposed to the
wonderful.
weekend.
Okay,
So,
we love that. That's great. Thanks.
And we're going to bring up Dr. May here to talk about MCC's Early College Academy.
All right, I'm going to take some privilege too. Thank you this evening for having me here. But we also have programs at MCC in agriculture, AAS degree in plant science, animal science, and in terms of opportunities, I see an MOU. So, but to the point that I'm here to actually discuss the MCC Early College Academy, we're excited to partner with the Independent School District. This academy will be open to all students entering their junior and senior year of high school who meet certain qualification standards. Those standards will certainly be attached to or connected to a minimum GPA. That'll be a 2.5. ACT composite score of 18. English and read will be 18, and then math at 22. We also can look at a qualifying test score with MCC if the ACT has not been actually completed. The students who actually participate and are selected for this opportunity, they'll be attending MCC for half of the day. And so those students that are engaged in the academy, they're still considered full-time ISD students, and they're eligible for all of the MSHA athletics and activities that they may still want to be involved with. One note that I will make is the intention with this first cohort is to have a size of 25 students, and that's by design. We would like to really take this first year to make sure that we're able to create the best experience, identify any potential gaps or areas that need maybe addressing, but we do anticipate seeing this program grow. Currently, MCC, of course, we have 5 campuses. We do have other academies associated to our campuses, and we've used one model in particular that started with 25 students. They're now serving over 400 students. So we want to, on the front side, make sure that we're actually looking at this in a very intentional, strategic way, but a way centered around student success, and this foundational experience transfers and sets the stage for success when they move beyond MCC and they look at that 4-year partner and that experience at the 4-year institution. The students will actually earn approximately 10 to 12 college hours per semester, and their enrollment at MCC will actually not have a cost to the student or their families, and that's over $3,000 in value. The courses that are completed through the academy, they may concurrently count towards high school graduation requirements, but also a college credential. And with this first cohort class, we're actually focusing on the Gen Ed certificate. And that certificate is comprised of 42 credit hours, actually 45 to 46, but it captures the Core 42 curriculum. That curriculum is transferable to any publicly funded 4-year college or university in Missouri. I want to add there are partners at the private level that have opted to also participate in Core 42. So those are schools like Central Methodist, Avila University, Rockhurst, Lindenwood, Webster University, and also Baptist University. So we are very excited in terms of the opportunities for the ISD students. And I think you've got some additional information that was also included beyond this presentation. So any questions that you might have, I'm happy to address. But thank you very much.
And the additional information is linked in there from MCC. And then the academy charts, this is the overall academy chart from this year. And then next year, the changes have already been presented. A lot of them are just the clerical. The substantial change would be the agricultural pathway. And so with that, we'll be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
I just wanted to mention that I really appreciate the collaborative effort on the presentation. It was very interesting and great to see so many people being involved. I sure do appreciate that. A few questions. So I noticed you had a couple of new classes specifically for ELL students. Do you have an idea of what percentage of ELL students the district has?
Dr. Jill Stout here. No, I do not have that number offhand, but we can certainly get that for you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And then you mentioned that the EMT class is no longer available at Herndon, so that is going to go away. Is that something that would be available at MCC, do you know?
We actually do have curriculum in EMT, EMS, and then an AAS and paramedic. And so the EMT is something that we do offer. It's an 8-credit hour course. And so that certainly, as we were talking about it this evening, that's something that it is based at the MCC Blue River campus at our Public Safety Institute. So I think there's certainly some opportunity and potential there.
That's excellent to hear. A couple more. On the 8th grade, moving the freshman academy option to 8th grade or 9th grade, just curious, how many electives do 8th grade students are they able to have? For example, I remember when my kids were in 8th grade, if they did band, they had no other opportunities. And I just was curious, would they be able to do that if they had band?
It's certainly going to be limited in scope. Unfortunately, we do have to factor in staffing and the electives that the current staff is teaching. So outside the 4 cores that students are taking, the rest of their schedule, could be up to 4 other electives that they're taking. And so that's something that we're going to have to take a look at with the staffing model. How many can we actually open this up to in the hopes that we can grow it each year? But much like what we're doing with the MCC or early college, it's going to be limited in scope, like I said, with potential growth.
That sounds great. And then the last thing is the video game design. I think that's going to be a very highly sought after. What I couldn't tell from the chart is, does that have any prerequisites to get to that class? Because I'm thinking that that would be a great carrot to get them to take some classes that maybe are a little bit harder to get there.
Great question. As of right now, no. That's something that we'll explore since essentially next year is kind of a pilot year. It's going to be over at Truman High School because this is a passion project for one of the teachers. But we do expand to broaden that, but we will certainly take a look at pre-rights in the years to come.
I know you stated that that one is a pilot. Are the others, any of them pilots, and are they going to be in every building?
As far as
like the
special
history,
topics
yeah,
and all that, the others are not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Like fibers and stuff like
Right.
that, those are not pilots.
Okay. Is there a concern for staffing for any of them?
As of right now, no. No, there's not. What may end up happening is some sections may get closed down based on enrollment. If enrollment numbers fluctuate, say kids gravitate towards a fibers class but not towards another elective class, that other elective class may close down because there's not the staffing to cover a class that has 7 that are enrolled.
And for the early college program, is it specific courses or is there a variety for them to choose from?
We actually have pathway maps, and we utilize those with all of our students. And so we are using the Gen Ed certificate map, and that map does give some flexibility in terms of choices. Of course, you're capturing your discipline areas that are associated to the Core 42, but there are some areas where they can choose, of course, time options, but sociology versus psychology. Those types of variations are present.
I teach in Liberty, and some of my students are doing that with Maple Woods. So.
Yep. They're the model, actually. They were the first of our early academies. And so they've represented well in terms of the potential.
And I just wanted to say that I too appreciate the collaboration and that we got to hear from students tonight and from other folks who were involved in the process. I love it when students are able to share their feedback and that we take it to heart, and then you're even letting them present it to us. So it's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that feedback, and that is something, this takes place each and every year. I have just failed to bring the team behind me, and so for future years, I'll plan to
Keep
do
bringing
the same
them.
thing.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you.
Absolutely. Alrighty, if that concludes presentation and discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Say nay. And that motion passes. Our third item on our agenda for new business is the approval of changes to the Board of Education policies, first reading. Dr. I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve changes to the Board of Education policies on our first reading.
This is now opportunity for discussion.
All right, I will now introduce Madeline Garrett from Ed Council, EGS Services, to present the proposed changes for the first reading.
Good evening again. Yes, I am here tonight to discuss and for the board to have their first reading of the policy changes. If you would like, I can go through each of those individually, and then I'm happy to take any feedback as the board's first reading. The first policy is C-120P, and we added the sentence that if a complaint against the superintendent is substantiated, the board will be notified. There are also changes to policy C-121P, challenge materials. In the last paragraph, we added the words "or returned." That sentence is the board decision shall be final, and a request for review of the same media or materials under this policy will not be reconsidered or returned for 6 years following the date of the final decision. The third policy change is in C-140P. We added clarifying language that the public comments are from resident students and/or employees, as well as added a line at the end of the policy about where questions may be directed.
I did have a question about that.
Okay.
Just maybe a typo?
Yeah.
If a resident student.
Yeah, I knew where you were going with that. I'd marked that so that it's fixed for your second reading. But thank you. Okay. Anything else on that policy? Okay. From there, we go to G-110P, school superintendent. And in that policy at the end, we added the line that the job description will reside with human resources. In G-130P, we added some language there to clarify that the term of office of not only the secretary or treasurer, but all board officials will be for 2 years, and any of them may be removed for cause. And then the last policy change is in I-125P, special education in section 504. We made updates to this policy based on the recently adopted local compliance plan, so that policy is consistent with that plan.
I just had a couple of comments On G130P, I know that we changed, the reason for the change was to make sure that our president was also included and it wasn't just the secretary and treasurer. The line that says board officials shall be for the term of office of board officials shall be for 2 years and until their successors are elected by the board and qualified. But then the next sentence says any of them may be removed by the board for cause. So even if you are removed from cause, you would still be in your officer position until your successor has been elected. Can we change that language to ensure that if you're removed, you're removed? We don't need to wait until someone new comes along to take your place.
Yes, so if you motion for removal, that would take place, but yeah, I can take notes on that feedback to clarify that.
Yeah, I think that we could just, shall be for 2 years. And then, I mean, obviously, I think legal would need to look at it and make sure that it's okay, but and until their successors are elected by the board and qualified. Or maybe that second sentence just says something along the lines that may be removed by the board for cause, comma, in which case we would not need to wait for their successor to be elected, or something along those lines.
I would be a little bit concerned about that change because, for example, if the president was removed for cause, you need to elect a new president to be able to continue with the meeting. So I would think that that would need to happen at, relatively, like not a meeting later, it would need to happen.
But then they would be president until that election would happen. Like say if we couldn't meet for a week, they would still be the president, could call meetings or whatever. Like I would assume that our vice president or worst case our treasurer would step in if that was the case, if we needed somebody to sub.
I guess I'm thinking about a recent school board close to us that had a president that was removed for cause. And so they actually had that election to choose a new president, the same meeting that they removed. So it happened at the exact same meeting. And also like when we, at the beginning of our terms, when the president is, at the end of their term and then we elect a new one, the superintendent runs the meeting for like, I don't know, like
15 minutes. Yeah.
So I mean, there's always someone that's in charge. I guess that would be my concern.
Well, my concern would just be that they're still in office until, even if they've been removed. So I think some clarity would be helpful just to ensure that if someone, and even if it happens immediately for that hour, that we still would need, they're still president until, like with that line in there, they are still president until we hold that election. Or treasurer, or vice president, or whatever it is. So I just think some clarity, I'm not sure how that should be handled considering we don't have the exact language that we would need, but can we just propose it for the second reading? And
I believe she's noted it, and we'll revisit that. All righty.
And I have one other thing,
Yes,
apologies. This was not included in the changes, but G155P for our board meetings, how we call our special meetings. It currently says special meetings may be called as needed and may be called by the board president or a quorum of the board. And while I understand that that's what is in our policy, I want to ensure that we have a quorum or a process and just ensure that we know exactly what the procedure is. And so this may not be included in board policy, but I would love for us to have a discussion at some point, whether that's in a future work session, how we call our special meetings and how we ensure we're not wasting everybody's time by having a meeting where some folks might not be showing up because they can't make it because of the scheduling or whatever.
I agree. We can't have a meeting unless we have a quorum, and so there needs to be a process to deciding when we can meet, what time.
Even if that's an RSVP process, like it's fine that it's set, it's going to be Friday at 7 a.m. Can at least 4 people make it?
And just for the record, Wendy, could you reference the call number on that?
It's G155P, the board meeting board meetings policy.
Thank you. Madeline, I may have missed this as you were speaking. C-140P, questions about this policy may be directed to central office by emailing said email. That was also included in that?
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was taking
No.
notes and I may have missed that.
No, it's okay.
Thank you. All right, is there any more discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nays, please say nay. And that motion passes. Our fourth item this evening is the approval of salary guides for the 2025-2026 school year. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the salary guides for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Now time for discussion. Dr. Grant?
All right. We are seeking approval of 6 salary guides and then 2 additional, so 8 total. As you may recall, House Bill 567 increased the minimum wage to $13.75 by August 28th, 2025, so we've taken care of that. But now that same House bill expects us to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour by January 1, so we're bringing those to you, and those are included in your packet. This was something, minimum wage requirements applies also to public sector as well. We were previously exempt. So that is something new and why we're bringing this to you this evening. And then we did take a moment to increase our off-duty police officer rate because we were struggling to get police officers to do off-duty, so we took a look at that, so we were comparable. As well as we have flag football. That will be a spring sport, and we've had that for 2 years. We needed to make sure that that stipend was included. And so that is something that's going very well and sponsored by the NFL, so it's gone well. So we seek your approval for those salary guides.
I had a question. I understand that the law requires us to make some of those salary guide changes. On the new position or not the new position, on the increase on the police officer,
Mhm.
is that something that needs to go through the CBA or?
No.
Okay.
They're not a part of the collective bargaining. Good question.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Say nay. Thank you. That motion passes. Our fifth item is the approval of a special election on April 7th, 2026 for the purpose of a bond issue in the amount of $60,000. $60 million. Gotcha. $60 million, y'all. $60 million. Amen.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
All right. I am excited to bring this to the board. Over the years, our community has been so supportive in passing these bond measures that we've put before them. And I had the opportunity within this new role to sit down with several community members, and our buildings are a source of pride within this community. And so for this reason, I'm just continuing that pride and looking forward to the updates that we will bring. So as you're aware, we started the process to develop our 5-year comprehensive school improvement plan last year, and as a part of this process, it included facilities walkthroughs, and this process allowed the district to identify building and maintenance needs. And I think, Dr. Steff, how many individuals did we have participate in that with the facilities? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And so additional meetings and walkthroughs through first semester also helped us identify needs within the district. And based upon this information, the administration is asking the board to schedule a special election on the question of an issuance of a general obligation bond for April 7th. You heard several LET bids that we talked about and where those would take place. This would also finance constructing, improving, repairing, renovating, furnishing, and equipping school sites and facilities to include remodeling and renovating Fairmount Elementary,
as well as Cordy Elementary and Proctor Elementary. Additional improvements will be made throughout the district through facilities. It would be a no tax increase due to the issuance of the bonds. So we are seeking your approval. Yes. Sorry.
Our CSIP Saturday, I guess.
Oh.
I forgot to mention, we did have more representation.
Oh, yes.
And actually, it's a few more members that make on that Saturday, but they did work with us and took time out of their business schedule to make sure they made this business. So we were very appreciative of that.
I was going to mention that I did get the opportunity to participate in the Saturday walkthrough, and it was very collaborative. It was great to see all of the input by parents, staff. It was just had a broad range of people at each building, and so it was really great to see that. A lot of great ideas that came out. And I would also just express too my thanks to the community for such a support of the bond issues in the past. Close to 85, if not more percent of support on those bond issues. I think we just come from a community that has a lot of support and really appreciated that. And so I'm really looking forward to going forward with this one, keeping our buildings, a shining example and keeping our maintenance up to date and being able to use those buildings as well as possible.
I think one of the challenges we have is the historical buildings that we are blessed with. And so it's a real challenge to decide what we want to try to maintain and restore and what we can reinvent and still provide some excellent environments for our students, but also respect that history. And what I also appreciated about taking that tour was seeing some other perspectives, Greg McGee would point out things that I wouldn't necessarily notice, and even Wendy did too. And so it's just really nice to be able to make those goals, but see that from a different lens. And I walk into a school building every day, and there are things that I don't think about when I walk in. So.
It's been really nice to have superintendents from other districts reach out to say, hey, we're thinking about X, Y, or Z, and looking at renovating our auditorium. Can we come look at yours? And so it is definitely a source of pride. It's wonderful.
So I know that a Fairmount, Cordy, and Proctor will be the ones seeing a majority of the investment. Can you talk a little bit about what the other buildings might see? I know we've approved some of our LET bids, but just give us a quick synopsis on what other folks throughout the district.
So potentially looking at and finalizing that list, so it is potential, looking at new cabinetry that is up to date, if that needs to be updated, new flooring, items like that. So those would be some of the things throughout the district that we'd be looking at. Furniture. Yes, yeah, yes, yeah.
Any further discussion? Please.
And quick question, and this was just brought to my attention because Blake mentioned the number. Is this the largest that we have ever gone for? No? Okay.
In 2009, it was 85 million.
Okay, thank you.
2009. I graduated in young, Mike. Anyway, any further discussion? All right, I will entertain. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, say nay. That motion passes. That $60,000 million motion passes.
Thank you.
Our sixth item is the approval of the Herndon Career Center tuition. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the Herndon Career Center tuition.
All right, this is our opportunity for discussion. Dr. Grant.
All right, Herndon Career Center in Raytown School District in partnership with other 5 surrounding school districts, which includes us, Center, Grandview, Hickman Mills, and Lee Summit, provides, and you heard a little bit about what they provide during our presentation previously, provides our students with CTE programs, the CNA, Auto Tech, Collision, Cosmetology, Diesel Mechanic, HVAC, Pharmacy Tech, Police Science, and Welding. And the cost for the 25-26 school year programming for our students to participate would be $419,650. So we would seek your consideration and approval for that tuition amount.
Any questions for Dr. Grant? Any further discussion?
Is this amount pretty comparable to what we have every year,
I'm looking to Marty back there. Where is she? Yes, it is.
I just had a quick question. Was there any explanation given as to why the EMT program ended?
That I'm aware of. Are you aware of Dr. Maglinger? Aaron?
No instructor.
Oh, there you go.
No instructor? That concludes our discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, say nay. Motion passes. Our seventh item is approval of declaration of surplus items. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Discussion?
All right, this is something that we complete quarterly, and it's that time again. These items that are provided to you are listed on govdeals.com. Recycled, sold as scrap, or discarded, and we would appreciate your approval.
Dr. Grant, I see a lot of AEDs on here.
Yes.
So will we be seeing those coming through as a purchase, or have we already gotten them?
We've already gotten them.
Wonderful.
And then this is something I learned. AEDs expire approximately after 10 years. So learned that from Lori.
All right, if that concludes our discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays, say nay. Motion passes. Our eighth item is to the approval to accept bid and contract for roof replacement at Mill Creek Elementary School. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Grant for discussion.
All right, and I am actually going to turn this over to Dr. Stout.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Good evening, board members. The roof at Mill Creek is out of warranty and has failed a moisture test. We did come to you, the Board of Education, in October to put this project out for bid, and we had good participation in the number of bids that we received. And that bid tab sheet is for your preview. We had 4 actually that turned in bids. A couple of things that I just want to make note of. This project is going to take place during school, during the spring semester. Mr. McGee will coordinate with the roofing company to ensure there are no distractions to the learning environment and things run smoothly. Failing of the moisture test and the fact that it's kind of an early spring, late winter project help in the pricing of this. So that's why we're going to begin this project sooner than later, or that's our intent anyway. The alternate bid is also recommended this evening. This encompasses the early childhood rooms, which are out of warranty. When the pricing came back, the architects highly recommended we take this project on, as well as the pricing was very good. This is for partial roof replacement at Mill Creek. This will replace roof sections on the northeast side of the building, as well as the center roof sections. There's 3 other sections that are in good shape, so we won't touch those at this time. So this evening, we're asking the Board of Education to approve the bid from Cornell Roofing in the amount of $283,000. And this does include the alternate bid package as well. And assure you that the contract was reviewed by our architects and by Mr. McGee. And happy to answer any further questions.
Oh, you know I'm going to ask. There's about 40 pages of contract with this one with all the codes and such. Who are the personnel that were double checking that for us?
Our architects from Hollis and Miller, along with Mr. McGee and his team, have gone through that thoroughly and assured us that that's in order.
Any further discussion or questions for Dr. Stout?
About how long do they anticipate this will take?
It's a good question, Wendy. Mr. McGee?
Weather permitting, a couple months.
Because I don't think there's no interruption, just minimal interruption.
I would agree.
Thank you, thank you. That concludes discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, say nay. That motion passes, thank you. Our 9th item is approval to accept E-rate bid for the district internet. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Dr. Grant?
All right, and on to Dr. Stout.
The district's contract for internet services is currently with Unite, and this contract expires on June 30, 2025. Thus, we put internet services out for bid using E-rate, and the winning bid came back from Segra, which was formerly Unite, for an additional 3 years. And again, the bid tab sheet is attached, and like the previous motion, we had very good response with 4 vendors responding. I'll remind you, E-rate dollars allow the ISD substantial savings. The 3-year contract with Segra for 10 gigabyte of internet services will be $14,400 per year, or $1,200 a month. However, since we bid this out through E-rate, the ISD is responsible for 20% of the total price. So ISD will pay $2,880 per year for 3 years, or $8,640 for the entire 3 years of service, versus $43,200 for our internet services over 3 years without the E-rate funding. So that's a nice savings. We would ask that the Board of Education approve the 3-year contract with Segra for 10 gigabyte of internet services as presented. And we'll assure you that the contract was reviewed by Todd King. And we do, that if you don't know this, the district does have an E-rate consultant that we work closely with. His name is Chris Weber. He's actually out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he works with a lot of schools throughout the country. And he makes sure that contracts are in order. He also makes sure that we're bidding out for things that are E-rateable, if you will. And he keeps us on that narrow path, so we're certainly thankful for him as well.
Sounds like a good position for the district to have. Just want to make clear, did you say that it expired June of 25?
It will be, sorry, it says upcoming June. I'll double check with Todd.
Thank you. That makes sense, thank you.
And I just want to say, having just switched internet service providers, this is a really good deal. Like if you think just 30 houses or 35, however many buildings we have, this is a really good deal.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays, say nay. Motion passes. Our 10th and final item for new business is the approval of the FY25 audit. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the FY25 audit.
Second.
Opportunity for discussion. Dr. Grant?
All right, thank you. Well, last but certainly not least, approval of the FY25 audit. It is required by law. Our annual audit to be uploaded and submitted to DESE by December 31st annually. I just want to say a huge congratulations and thank you to Marty Gardner and her team, who she is here, and some of her staff. So they work extremely hard to make everything happen, and they do a phenomenal job. It is extensive and time consuming, and they do a great job. We did have one significant deficiency, and it is the same one that we have each year. And when I shared it with our administrators today, they could all tell me which one too. So we train them well. They know. It is related to the TVA bonds. That is a requirement of the donor who provides the funds. And these funds pay for approximately $175,000 of scholarships for our kiddos through the through the foundation, so we will continue to take that finding. We also had no material weaknesses, which is the worst thing that you would want to see. I will note that our previous audit group merged with another group, and they did recommend a procedural change on how we reconcile summer payments to ensure everything is reconciled by the end of June 30th. And so even though we've done this as a consistent practice over a number of years, we will make that adjustment for them. So we appreciate that. So it is there for your approval.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Any questions or discussions, feedback?
I would just make a comment that I've had the privilege of working in the accounting field for pretty close to 40 years now. Kind of crazy, isn't it? And I will say that audit standards are like broad brushstrokes. There's often differences of opinion on processes or on reporting methods. And I really appreciate how our finance team was able to pivot on the payroll entry and get that done so that way we could continue to have an audit with no material weaknesses. So I do appreciate that. It's kind of frustrating when you've done something for many years and then have somebody say, well, I don't think you should do it that way. So I really appreciate that flexibility and getting that done, and please know that that has nothing to do with you all. That's just like Dr. Grant said, a merge in the team sometimes can have a difference of opinion. So appreciate everything that you do.
Absolutely, thank you, Denise. Any further discussion? All righty. I'd like to say thank you to my peers and administration for allowing me this opportunity this evening. Thank you for working with me as I stumbled through this. Thank you, and I will now entertain those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, say nay. That motion passes, thank you. And now I will entertain a motion for closure.
All right, I move to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Missouri State Statute for Personnel Issues 610.021 subparagraph 3, Legal Matters 610.021 subparagraph 1, and Students paragraph 610.021 subparagraph 6.
Second.
Tammy, did you? Yes.
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 We are adjourned. Have a good night and thank you.